Hi, good evening. Welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. We had, this is kind of an update on what kind of a day we had today. We were required to go and talk with the Dswd today, and they wanted to know how far we had gotten with our application for non-stock, non-profit, and what we were able to tell them, of course, which we've done on other videos, is that our application and our paperwork is now with the SEC, so Securities and Exchange Commission. So when you apply for non-stock, non-profit, it has to go obviously through certain channels. It has to go through, there's a way that it is dealt with, and it's dealt with in different departments. So I'm just putting my phone on charge here. And so we're no different. We've had to do the same. So we first of all, we went to, well, we did our paperwork first of all, got all of our requirements together. We have to do certain things in order to be able to go the next step, and the next step was to go to the BIR. When we went to the BIR, we posted a video on how that was. I always find that people are very, very nice to me. I go out with a reverse psychology, which is about, I think that I'm reverse paranoid. I go out thinking that everybody is plotting to make things easy for me and to be nice to me, and you know, I'm not very often disappointed. So we were passed from one nice lady to another nice lady, and on to a third nice lady, who then came over and saw us and said, I'm going to give this to my supervisor, and she is the top of my section. This was at the BIR, and we saw that lady, and finally we got what we needed, which was a TIN number for one of our board members. So once we had that, we were then able to complete the paperwork that's needed for the SEC. And we gave that to our liaison person that was recommended by Sam, who is a director at the Village of Hope. So the Village of Hope have been instrumental in babysitting us through this paperwork, because Sam is an extremely capable lady and extremely helpful and kind. And we are so grateful for the help that we've had. We've been associated with the Village of Hope before, and we've taken a lot of visitors there, visitors who have been very friendly and very generous, and so the visits are always a great pleasure, and they're always very touching as well in the Village of Hope, because when you go there and you've done anything that is kind, like take a few bags of rice or other provisions that we would take, they then sing a song to you, which is always a killer for me. Anyway, so the paperwork is now at the SEC. Well, that's being held and it's being processed, and it's been there for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. Time goes very fast, but it seems like it's agonizingly slow. Well, it's being dealt with, and we're hoping that it will not be much more than another week or possibly 2. Now the next step as far as the Dswd were concerned was to send one of their reps to see us, and we arranged to go and see the lady at the Dswd in Taliban, and we went there today and we met with this lady who was extremely nice to us. It's been a hard thing for me, I have to tell you, because I'm actually looking at house number 32, which we would just so love to be able to do. Now, we were kind of stopped in the middle of doing that house. We have all of the materials that have all been ordered. The chainsaw crew have come in. They had the cutlass prepared by our Pastor Timio, and all of the material is actually there to be able to start the job, which is very frustrating because the family that are there are suffering. And here I am. Of course, I'm not really, well, I'm not really authority friendly, so I did, you know, perhaps was more confrontational than I normally am. And my point is that if any of the people that we are dealing with who are in authority, if the family that are the young family that are in that house, the house in waiting, the house number 32 in waiting, who are in limbo, if it was them, or if it was a relative of theirs, and there's me, my my application for the diplomatic corps might be on permanent hold, probably pinning up a wonky filing cabinet somewhere now. And that's my point. I say, ma'am, if this was your daughter living like this, what would you do? If this was you, if this was us, if we were sitting in, it's okay now for us, we're in this air-conditioned room, and everything is it's dry and clean and everything. It's all very civilized, but what if we were sitting under the roof of that house number 32? How would we deal with that? Well, for a start, all of this paperwork would be soaked. We wouldn't be able to handle it. But all of these examples and ways of putting it to bring it home and bring it real are all there, like a computer app that goes a certain way and will give you certain answers only within certain questions and parameters. So it will always keep coming back to, we have to obey the rules. And that's what happens. And this is always, to me, the sad part of things out here in the Philippines. It seems more excessive than when it's at home in the US or in the UK, where people seem to have a little more leeway in making a judgment call. And of course, me and my way of looking at it, I wondered why we couldn't have just done that one house. We could have been through, that house could have been done in 4 days. Like the blind man's house, it could have been done in 4 days. And that was really my point. The other point was, and it's all part and parcel of the same thing, I just didn't understand, or I was saddened by what seemed to be a lack of interest in what the family for House 32 was going through. Well, nobody said to me, what's happening to them now? Are they okay? Are they... No one seemed to be very interested, and that, I thought, was a heartbreaker. Because shouldn't we all be interested that there is a young family there? Look at the video that we made showing house number 32, and you'll see that dirt floor. Sorry, it's like a hovel. It's the poorest, most pitiful thing that you could see. And when we looked inside the room, and there was only one room, there was an outside lean-to kitchen that you could see where open fire cooking went on, but it was like one room and it was big enough for the bed, and that was the house. And inside the house there were 2 small children lying on the bed asleep. I thought that that was very touching, and why couldn't we have bent the rules a little bit? So, well, we didn't. So we did that, and we satisfied everybody that we were working on our part, and we'd done our part, and the SEC were now required to do theirs. As soon as the SEC have finished and approved us to go on, then we will go back to the BIR, and they will give us guidelines as to how we will proceed when we are non-stock, non-profit as a charity. And they'll give us, I believe, what we have to do is we're going to make a house. We have to go to them and say, I'm guessing now for some of this, but if the BIR is the Internal Revenue Service, they want to know incoming money and outgoing money, what we've spent, what we've got, and they want to see some figures. And if we're going to build a house, and it's, say, easy math, 50,000 pesos, and if we're going to do that, then they're going to want to know what the figures are. Excuse me. They're going to want to know what the figures are, and they're going to want to know where the money is going. We'll have to have our workforce will have to sign for their money, which is okay, and we can do all of that. And once we've got that in hand, and we know what our responsibilities are there, then the next thing will be to go to the Dswd. Now, with all that's been going on, once we've been to the BIR, and I believe that we go to the Dswd, boy, that should be a bomb's rush in and out the door, shouldn't it? Because they already know everything. I took along our portfolio today. We have a portfolio now of not even half of the work that we've done, but we have a portfolio, and the lady that we were talking to leafed through it and saw some of the things that we were doing, and that was it. Well, all of that will all be going on, and they'll just be not interested, I don't feel, in finding out what we're going to be doing with people who are in desperate need of help. But they'll want to know, have we got the spelling right on rule number 2 or rule number 3? Yeah, well, welcome to the government. So Dswd should not take long, and then I think that we have to have the mayor's approval, which, if everybody else has approved, and he takes a look at our pictures, and we show him what we've been doing in his jurisdiction, how could he protest? Unless he's that idiot who keeps giving us a thumbs down for everything. Anyway, that's not likely, is it? So, that's where we are at the moment. That's how it's been going, our interview with the Dswd. Thank you for being with us. Please give us a thumbs up, give us your subscription, and maybe a share. Maybe you could share. Thanks for being part of our YouTube family, and bye for now. Good night.